It's a brand new day here on the Park Lark channel. Thanks for coming back and viewing this video. Today we've traveled down not far from where the Park Lark lives, but it's about maybe a 15-minute to 20-minute drive. And we're here in what's now known as the city of Chino. But back when this became a significant landmark or location, this was unincorporated San Bernardino County. And but today, like I said, it's now part of the Chino city, and that occurred maybe about 10 to 15 years ago. But once I revealed the location, I think many of you who follow the kind of content that I put out here will already know what this is. It's been covered by many people, but I hope to cover some information that many may not know because they may not be from this area, or they may not have been, if they are from this area, they may not have been residents as long as I have. So why don't you come along and let's take a look at what's here. So here's one clue. But here's might be what really brings it around. This here is the location for the 1985 science fiction movie Back to the Future. It was featured in both the initial film in 1985 and also in the sequel in 1987, I believe. And so this is where, in this area here, they had the two Lion Estates marks, and they had a bulldozer or a grader parked over in that side of the land. And so it was here, it was filmed here in the city of Chino, what is now known as the city of Chino, and at that time unincorporated San Bernardino County. In the distance you can see the hills from Riverside County, and that's pointing to the east. Back this direction is to the south, and we are looking at the mountains of Riverside County and the Cleveland National Forest, which starts there and continues down south. And in this direction is Orange County, and these hills in the background are the Chino Hills, which is its own incorporated city. And the 71 freeway, those of you familiar with this area of Southern California, which is referred to as the Inland Empire, the 71 freeway runs along these foothills, and when it gets down to near the base of that mountain, it runs into the 91 freeway, and it ends there. And then the 91 freeway runs inland and all the way out to through Orange County on its way over to a point south of LAX. So just a quick correction, I had said earlier that the sequel was for Back to the Future was released in 1987. That was incorrect. It's actually 1989, so it was 4 years later. But this scene here, or this location, included several scenes in both movies. One of them was this was the location where Marty hides the DeLorean. There was a sign here that said future homes for being constructed. So this was farmland that was being developed into what would, in the original film, was Hill Valley. And so he backed up the DeLorean to hide it, and then he went into town and and the remainder of those kinds of locations took place in the film. The other significant one is where the camera is showing, he's standing in the middle and he sees these headlights coming, and it's a vehicle, it's nighttime, and it's a vehicle, and the vehicle stops like close to him. And this man gets out, he's got a hat, he's got what appears to be an overcoat, and he starts to walk towards him. And so the headlights are flashing on Marty's face, and he's kind of got a little bit of a side look to him, and he's not sure what to expect. And then the guy speaks and he says, "Are you Marty McFly?" And he says, "Yeah." And he goes, "I got a letter for you." And then there's kind of a sigh of relief, both in Marty and also with those of us who were viewing the movie. And so that took place here. And after the guy leaves, it starts pouring down rain. And so that kind of was filmed here in this area. The rain part may have been filmed in a back lot somewhere because they can control that kind of thing better. But anyway, they did some of that filming here. And you can kind of get the sense from the poles that line this street. And by the way, the name of this street is Cucamonga, but a little further down the road, it's actually called Chino CA, and I don't know why the same street has two different sections with two different names, but it does. And so again, we're facing north, and you're looking at Mount Baldy and the San Gabriel Mountains that stretch from all the way over in San Fernando Valley, all the way over to Big Bear, which is behind the haze back there. And so, but one of the things that people have said is it's amazing in 30 years, 50 years, whatever it is, 40 years, that no houses have been built here. And I think that I could probably lend a little bit of information as to why that's the case, is that this area, back in the beginning in the 60s, the state of California passed a law that said that for conservation purposes, landowners could apply for a 20-year contract with the state or with their local government, which it wasn't with the state. The state passed the law, but local governments like the counties and cities could engage in the benefits of the law. And it basically was to lock in a parcel of land from being developed, and it could be used for agricultural purposes. And many of this area in the middle of the 80s and even before that was dairy farms. And so many of the lots that are from this location going to the north did engage in those contracts, and it became known as the San Bernardino County Ag Preserve. And that stayed in effect for approximately 20 years, but it wasn't renewed. And the reason for that is that the land became so valuable that many of the landowners decided to fold shop, sell their land to developers, and not renew their contracts. So the other thing that happened was that this was, as I mentioned at the onset, this was unincorporated county, and meaning that there were no cities. It was just the county that was, administering any governmental law enforcement and roads and all that kind of stuff. But around the mid-90s, when the Ag Preserve was coming to an end and it was not going to be renewed by some of the landowners in terms of their contracts, the city of Ontario to the north and the city of Chino slightly to the west became two municipalities that would divide up this area of unincorporated county and eventually annex it. So the Ontario being to the north, and it had a southern boundary that was on Riverside Drive. It extended down from the north to the south, and it's probably about another 5 miles from this location to where that new boundary is. And then this area became Chino, So this is now the city of Chino, and the other part is the city of Ontario. So those are the two San Bernardino cities that now have jurisdiction over this whole area. And not far that direction to the east is a relatively new community, which is Eastvale, and it's now in, and that's part of Riverside County, so that's a completely different county jurisdiction altogether. And the boundary between the two counties is not far from here. San Bernardino County kind of goes a little further down, and then it ends at Riverside, because Riverside is kind of coming from the east, and then it goes along to the south, and all these counties meet up over here basically in this kind of area where I was describing earlier, where the 71 and the 91 meet. That's kind of a point where Orange County, San Bernardino County, and Riverside County come together. And also down there is a flood control basin where the Santa Ana River, which begins in Big Bear, flows all the way down through this area. And that's why you see all these trees down here, because it's fed by the moisture that's part of that river and flood basin. And there's a dam down there, it may be visible from here, but it's kind of a little light gray. That is an earthen dam, and that stops the Santa Ana River from flooding Orange County and creating what took place in the 1920s, which was a flood disaster when there was a heavy rain for a couple of weeks, and the Santa Ana River became a torrent of water and came flooding down through there and destroying homes and washing people out and killing them and continuing down all the way to the ocean. So they built this flood control by the Army Corps of Engineers, and so that now protects and prevents that kind of devastation from reoccurring. And but since those days, much of this area, which is now Corona, has been developed, and you can see homes going up the hill, up the mountain up there, and so that's what exists today. So that's a little bit of what I wanted to contribute in terms of creating a video for all of you guys, and hopefully you found that of interest and that you stayed to the end, because a lot of times if you don't stay to the end, you don't get the full benefit of everything that's being included in the content. A lot of times viewers will give it 30 seconds, and if it doesn't seem interesting, they may miss on something that they might find of interest later on. So hopefully you've all stayed. One of the things that has been developed here in this area is you can see those red easy ups or canopies. That is an area for model aircraft, and so I've been a little bit challenged in trying to record the video today with noise that's coming off of the planes that those enthusiasts are flying in the air. So yeah, I thought I would include that and mention it to you. They're out here in the sticks, if you will. There's not a lot of other developed or anybody living nearby. So yeah, they're out here on the edges of the undeveloped area. So. It's questionable if this area will ever be developed, because there is a potential for it not to be long-term safe in terms of natural events that take place. And what I'm referring to is that there is a flood control basin that is down, and I think I've described it later in this video. And so there is the potential for certain weather events to occur and for flood waters to perhaps back all the way up into here and maybe flood this land temporarily. And so that might be why this has not been developed in 30 to 40 years. I'm speculating, I don't know for a fact, but that could be it too. What is occurring here, though, in the immediate area is there is housing being developed over the horizon, and there are many new homes there, single-family homes, as well as areas of high density where there's either condominiums or apartments and that kind of thing. But over this mound, beyond that is commercial buildings. Many logistic warehouses have been built in this area, and that may be what ends up in this area in the future. So it's hard to tell how much how much capacity in terms of warehousing and logistics can be built. In my opinion, there seems to be more than enough as it is today, but you never know about these kinds of things, and investors will do what they do, chasing whatever profit they can. So, but anyway, that could be a couple of things that are destined for this area. The other possibility is park land and recreational use. It may be developed for things like that. So hard to tell. Only time will tell. Please like the video if you found it of interest, if you found it enjoyable, and consider subscribing to my channel. We're a fledgling channel. We're not monetized yet, so every additional subscriber that comes on board is one additional subscriber that gets me to where I need to go to hopefully someday reach 1,000 subscribers and join the YouTube partner channel program rather. So I appreciate you all for staying around, for coming back to my channel and viewing my content, and feel free to leave a comment, ask any questions. If I don't know the answer, I'll certainly research it and respond back to you all. So that's it for now. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.